KollinsPlays Feed the Beast Monster. Greetings, Minecraft fans. It's Collins. We're back with more Feed the Beast Monster. So last episode we set up power, and I moved all this around. So I got all this out of the way. It was all sitting over here. We moved this whole system over here. So we got our tree farm, power and steam boiler, giving us lots of power, and we're using that for our ME system. And we taught Emmy how to do a whole bunch of stuff. And we built this little tiny assembly container. And it only holds this many recipes, and I've filled it up. But what I did do is I taught it how to do the assembly containment walls, the heat vent, and this pattern provider. So I basically taught ME how to craft all the stuff I need to make a bigger molecular assembly chamber. And we should have all this stuff in here. So I need 4 of those, 4 of those, and 1 of these, because I've been teaching it all sorts of stuff. And I have pattern for the next thing that I need to teach it, but I don't have any room in here to put it. So we're going to expand this, and this is really simple. You pick one side of your molecular assembly chamber, and then you tear all the pieces out. So we got to rip this whole section out. You actually don't have to rip all of it out, but let's do that. And I've got this weird system that sucks up items automatically, so it's pulling things out. I think we showed this last time. This is the advanced item collector from Random Things, and I'm using this to catch all the extra saplings, but it also picks up pieces when I'm mining stuff that drops on the ground. And here's the other thing that I didn't realize last time. When I was doing stuff by hand and throwing things in the chest, I made this Certus quartz block, and you make this by taking 4 Certus quartz and turn it into a block. It's just an easier way to store it all. And so I had a whole chest with a whole bunch of Certus quartz blocks, and I didn't have any actual Certus quartz, and I couldn't figure out why until I realized I made it in the blocks. So here's our our molecular assembly chamber, all ripped up. So what we need to do is expand this out, and we still have to follow the rules of containment walls in the corners and heat vents on the edges. So this used to be a containment wall, now it needs to be a heat vent. Same with this side, that side, and this. And we need more crafting stuff, so we're going to put another pattern provider in here. And we need another heat vent right there, and the rest of this is containment walls. And if I do this right, this should change from having these dots to the shape of a molecular assembly chamber. There we go. And now I got more room for more patterns. And since I taught Emmy how to do all the crafting for me, I didn't have to craft any of it. I just told Emmy, make that stuff and go to town. So last time we taught Emmy how to do a bunch of crafting, and we did this stuff here, which I think I might have glossed over this. So let me show you how this works. You have a pattern. So I know that if I put cobblestone into a pulverizer, I will get sand. But let's clear this out. Actually, let's just clear this whole recipe out. Okay, so now we got a blank pattern. So if I stick cobblestone in here, it's not going to tell me sand. I have to actually have a piece of sand, which I do, and manually tell the pattern encoder cobblestone makes sand, and then you encode that. And this does not go in your molecular assembly chamber. If I put it in here, it'll show up with a red thing around it because it says that doesn't work. You have to actually put that into the ME interface for the machine that you know turns cobblestone into sand. So then I just pop that in there. And that's how we got the machines to work. So we can get the machines to craft things for us. And we can actually get this. I did set up a ender chest, so everything does go in the ender chest and it goes into the ME system. But we want to do is when, you know, if I got a quarry or a turtle mining, I want the stuff to be processed. I don't want a bunch of iron ore sitting in here waiting for me to say I need actual iron bars to craft. I want it to just, you know, macerate or whatever, pulverize it all. So I'm going to show you how to do that with a storage bus. So we take a chest and a storage bus, and we got a bunch of stuff. Let's just take all this stuff. So let's stick this, we have to tie this into the rest of our system. So let's stick it right there. And I'm probably going to have to move this. Let's put it right here for now. That'll tie it into the ME system. And then behind here is the item conduits from Ender.io, so we need another one of those. There's the item conduit. Alright, so I'm going to use another mod's item transfer nodes, and we're going to give this a weird filter. Let's call this, I got a bunch of these I'm already using. Lime. Let's use lime. So everything on this lime channel in Ender.io is going to get put out of this chest. So I want to tell ME, here's some things that when they come in the system, stick them in this chest. And then I'm going to use item transport to take these items out and process them automatically. So I don't have to wait until I want a piece of iron. It's just going to take all the excess iron and craft it. And there's a bunch of stuff. I'm just going to throw one of these in there. All these in there. And then we got machines we got to hook up. So let's see. Let's start off with another smelter. So this is basically Ender.io's version of the of a electric furnace. And we're going to turn you into the, what did we use? What color did we use? Lime green, right? Okay, so we go to our lime green channel and we set you to insert lime, and you're still set for, oh no, shit, crud. That's not what I wanted to do. Stop. Alright, it's gonna start cooking stuff now, isn't it? Oh, it did. I didn't want to make graphite. What did we stick in there? Alright, so we have to set this to furnace only mode, so it will only cook stuff that I put into the lime green channel. So we're going to tell it to cook all of this stuff here. So insertion filter is only take these things in. So this is the same thing you can do with TE's item conduits. You can do it with you know, build craft and golden transport pipes. You can do this however you want. But basically I'm going to tell it, when these things come into the system, send them in to be cooked. And then if I turn this on, and I set you to always be active, it should start popping them in. It's going to do them one at a time, and I'll have to put one of those capacitors in here to make it a little faster. But now ME's going to automatically cook all the stuff that comes in. And then we want to tell it to process some stuff. So I got this seg mill, of course, which does some really cool stuff. We're going to set this up. So I got to turn you off. Don't. Okay, insert. There's our lime channel. Okay, so I know that the seg mill is the best way to process gold and iron and copper and not tin or silver. And let's take a little nap so the zombies don't come get us. Alright. The other thing I need to do is I need to tell it actually insert in and out. Okay, so insert in from the lime channel, just these things. And then let's go ahead and extract on the purple channel, which will put it into the ender chest. So now it should cook some stuff up. We should see cooked chicken go in there. Show me cooked chicken. There it is. Okay, so it's cooking chicken, putting it in there. We got to do the same with this one. You are actually in out, and lime goes in, and purple goes out. Alright. So now I got to tell it to not to use my wrench. I already told it to put ores in there. Gold, iron, copper. copper, iron, gold. Now if I put gold, iron, and copper in there and set you to always extract, it should be putting one at a time in there. There we go. So now it's turning iron in, and the iron will turn into iron nuggets that pop into here. And when this thing gets done cooking chicken and steak and squid meat, it'll start cooking the copper and everything else. We'll just leave these down here at the bottom. And then we have silver and tin, which I want to do with the pulverizer. So we basically set a similar thing up with the pulverizer, except the pulverizer is going to need 2 channels. How did I do that last time? So the Ender IO machines, you can input and output on the same side, and it's actually, these Ender IO machines are smart enough to know, like, they don't care what face you put stuff in, they'll input and extract from all faces. But when we set up a TE machine, it's got all these color codes and stuff, and we have to actually program them. So I got to tell it, you know, one side is input and the other side is output everything. So we have to actually program that and get 2 sides in there. So I'm going to need 2 sides on the interface. Maybe we'll just go in right from the bottom right there with an item conduit. Alright, let's sit this puppy down right here. And let's turn off all the inputs for now until we get it all programmed. So we can tell it to... Actually, we can tell it to extract on the purple channel over here. And just always extract. And that's the back side of the machine. So now I tell it on the back side of the machine, just send everything out. And we'll turn off this redstone control. And then we'll just come straight off this chest and program it on the bottom side. So I gotta get underneath here, and we will tell you to extract on our, what did we use? We were using lime green, right? Oh, and I missed it. Okay, extract on the lime green channel, insert on the lime green channel, but only insert tin and silver. And now that I have that set, I can set you to always active. And the storage bus knows to put silver and tin in here. And if I pop silver in that chest, it's not going to go in here until I tell the pulverizer to accept stuff from the bottom. So bottom control is blue, and there goes my silver. And the pulverizer is not that fast, so if we come over here, I should be able to pop this tin in here, and we'll see it show up in the pulverizer. So there we go. Now I got our pulverizer pulverizing the stuff that we know it does better than the seg mill. The seg mill's doing everything else. When these things get done, the chest is a buffer, and then they get cooked into in the alloy furnace. So we got separate ones. I'm keeping basically the passive processing. All this processing that comes in when things come in automatically get processed is separate from my crafting machines. And the crafting machines have these capacitors in them to make them super fast. So now when I want to craft something, it'll make things super fast, even if I'm running a quarry and the quarry's, you know, doing all this stuff and cooking up whatever comes into the system. So now we got our AE system. We taught it how to craft a whole bunch of stuff, and I accidentally made these stupid graphite bars, which I'll never use. And now it's ready to go. It should, every time something comes into this chest, if it's an ore that needs to be processed, it's going to put some ores into one machine and some ores into another. And these are my ore doubling machines. The seg mill is kind of like the pulverizer, but it gives you better return on some things. And if you don't have Ender IO in your interface, you can pretty much pulverize everything. All the ores at least. So we got purple out, we got lime in down here. I think we're ready to go. So as we get new things into the system, so if I get some ore I don't know about, I am going to have to go back in here and figure this out. Like right now I have a bunch of these ores just sitting in a chest because I haven't figured out how I want to process these yet. I know with ferrous ore, it's best to process it with cinnabar, I think, to get in in the TE machine to get more of the shiny metal. So that's why I have that stuff kind of sitting on the side, and I think we'll just kind of ignore that for now. So I think we're ready to go. And we got this ender chest here, and I have a matching one. And if you guys have seen this before, we can use this with the turtle. So let's take our turtle and set him up, and I'll be back with you in a second. Alright, so one more time just to figure out what we did here. We're using this giant diamond chest as a buffer for ores as they come into the system. Because AE, I can tell it how to, I can use one of these interfaces and say, you know, put iron ore in here and you will get pulverized iron. But I don't want to wait for AE to pulverize the iron. I don't want it to collect a bunch of iron ore and just sit in the system, and then when I need iron I have to wait for it to be pulverized. I want iron ore to be processed as soon as AE takes it in. So as soon as AE takes in iron ore, it's going to stick it in this diamond chest, and then my item conduits are going to pull stuff out and automatically pulverize it for me and seg mill it and whatever, cook it up. So now we got our ender chest to match, and all I have to do is turtle or whatever we want to use. In this case we're just still using a turtle to use the ender chest. And we're still using the default turtle excavate program, and we're gonna do, so this is chunk boarder. If I set him right here and tell him to do 8, he'll do half of this chunk. But the other thing we did, if you've seen my LP before, I have Endervate. My turtle excavate program uses an ender chest. So alright, so with my Endervate program, if he has an ender chest in slot 1, I don't have to put a chest behind him and wait for that to fill up. And he doesn't have to come back up to the surface. So if I say Endervate 8, he's going to do the exact same thing as the excavate program does, except for when he fills his inventory up, he's not going to climb back up to the surface and try to put stuff in a chest here. He's going to take that ender chest out of his slot 1, pop it above his head, and just fill it up with ores. So that saves a little bit of power on the turtle. He doesn't have to climb to the surface every time he needs to process ores. So now he's just going to do his thing, and when he fills up his inventory, he's going to open up the ender chest, stick it above his head, fill it with ores, grab it back again, and continue on. So there we go. We got ore processing. Now we're ready to do big time. And I've been running out of resources, so I'm definitely ready for this to happen. So let's turn off these chunk borders. So now I just have a turtle going with an ender chest. He's underneath my base in the chunk loaded area, so he should be good to go. And then when he gets full of stuff, he's going to automatically pop it in this chest. And then here's another cool thing that I just actually hadn't seen this before. Yeah, I just learned this. So we need another one of these storage buses, so I can get me to craft that, and that'll take a second. So I got this unifier. Where did I hide you? I hid the unifier up here, but he's on a different channel, that blue channel there, and he's set up with another buffer chest down here. I think it's just this chest. Yeah, so he's going to convert some of these ores that are different types into so I only have one type of ore stored in my system. And you can do this using a storage bus into a chest. You can also use an export bus, but the export bus you can see only has 8 slots. And look at all these slots on this storage bus. So the next thing we need to do is we got Geostrata. So Geostrata has all these ores. And it's all of these ores. Look at all those different ores. And I basically told this storage bus, you hit this wrench icon in it, and basically you'll tell the ME system whatever's already in the chest, that's what you need to put in there. So we got this thing set up to put all these different rocks into this chest. But let's wrench this thing, and it went into my inventory, and you can see it says pre-configured because I wrenched it. So it's already set up with all the ores that were in that chest. And then I just pop him down here, and we got to turn off a couple of these. So we don't want moss stone, So we want all this geostrata stuff. Geostrata, geostrata, not geostrata, not geostrata. These are all geostrata. Yeah. So these are all those different ores that we saw earlier. And let's give this a lower priority than the other one. So these are all these ores that we saw from geostrata. All these different versions of cobblestone, basically. So now what my ME system is going to do, once I get my other storage bus back in place, is it's going to fill this chest up with all these different types of ores. That way I have them available. You know, if I want to use this sandstone, cobblestone, I got a chest full of it. If I fill up more than this chest worth of all that stuff, the rest of it's going to go into the unifier, which will turn it all into regular cobblestone. I don't even have to set a preference. So all this geostrata ores that come in, I got a whole box of them, and if more come in and fill up this box, it's going to just take and turn them all into cobblestone, and then the cobblestone just goes into a deep storage unit. So I got plenty of room for that, and I'm not going to fill up a drive with all this. So now I have another storage bus in here. So this storage bus has a 128 priority, which is a bigger number than the other one. So Emmy's going to try to fill this up with all these rocks, and then once it fills up with all those rocks, the rest of them are going into the unifier using the bus, which I moved, so it's over here now. The rest of those rocks, all those versions of cobblestone, are just going to get unified into regular cobblestone and stored into one of the deep storage units, which is that one, this one. Yeah, so we got room for all that. Have you seen this? I got 64 plus 72 dirt. For some reason, when I broke the deep storage units, when you break them, the contents stay in them. It doesn't spill everywhere. You don't have to do anything. You just, when you break it, it's still full of everything. But for some reason, I moved the stone and the dirt chest, and when I broke them both, they somehow combined, and they were actually two chests full of cobblestone. So I void piped one of the chests and emptied it all out of the cobblestone, and now it's filling back up with dirt, but I don't have a whole bunch of dirt. But it's not a big deal. I don't really need dirt for a whole lot of stuff. So we got Emmy doing all of our passive, I call it passive, I guess that's the right word, all of our processing of ores as soon as they come in. I don't have to have it's not going to have a whole bunch of iron ore sitting in here waiting to be processed. Iron powder, I just got to figure this out. So this is more of that stuff we got to mess with. So the iron powder comes from the sag mill, and then what I do is I tell ME to stick the iron powder in the unifier and turn it into pulverized iron. And then pulverized iron is going to go into the little smelter thing and get cooked into iron bars. Alright, so now we're good. So now we got big processing ready. Now we're ready to set up a quarry and do all sorts of crazy stuff, and hopefully this thing should be able to keep up with whatever processing I want to do. If I want to do a big quarry, or I got 4 turtles going, whatever I want to do. And this is the steam boiler we set up earlier. This pack is probably not ready for prime time, because this was a 2x2. This was a 2x2 with one, and I actually made it 3x2, a high pressure boiler, because it was still draining power at 2x2, and it's not now. But when I logged, it was draining power, and when I logged out and logged back in, it wasn't draining power anymore. So there's some sort of energy loss bug in the pack that and it was really weird. When I was testing this stuff out in creative before I started the LP, I had some strange stuff going on. Like, I would place an energy cell, and it would like suck crazy power out of it until I logged out and logged back in, but I don't know. So here's the drive 2 that we did. So I actually taught Emmy how to make one of these drives. So it's in here somewhere. The drive, yeah, one Emmy drive. So I taught it how to make the Emmy drive. I taught it how to make these 4K storages, and made it do it for me. So then I converted from having the storage bus on one chest to using these Emmy drives. So now we're using the Emmy drives for most of the storage. The things I'm going to get a whole bunch of, like netherrack and charcoal and cobblestone, go into deep storage units using a storage bus. but everything else gets stored in the, and we got some weird stuff going on. Like I want to have a bunch of jungle wood around, so if I craft stuff that needs wood, I have it available. So that goes into a little tiny chest with a storage bus, and then all the extra wood will get sent to this chest, which cooks it in a dedicated, it's basically an electric furnace. So a dedicated furnace for cooking, making charcoal. So that's our AE system. We are all set up. We got all of our processing we need. Ores that they come in are automatically going to be processed. This little tree farm thing is so small, but it easily powers this steam boiler. I think actually when I tested this out, even with, because in Monster, with the new versions of the mods, like Thermal Expansion 3 and stuff like that, they basically nerfed the values of like coal and charcoal. But even with nerfed charcoal, this one 2x2 jungle tree will power a 36 block high pressure boiler. So we're going with this for now. We're doing the Railcraft boiler because for an AE system you need a constant supply of power. So and the other thing that TE does is, I mentioned this before with the TE furnace. So the TE furnace, thermal expansion guys said, hey, here's the redstone furnace. So the redstone furnace, no way to overclock it really, no way to make it faster. And the thermal expansion team said, oh, you want your cooking to be twice as fast? Make 2 redstone furnaces. But if I scale that up, I gotta have like 30 something furnaces. So the same thing with the dynamos. The dynamos that are in, so this is the new power production in thermal expansion, is these dynamos. And that there's a steam dynamo which you put solid fuel and water in. There's a magmatic which you put lava in, but we're not going to do cheaty pump lava from the nether. The compression dynamo is basically their fluid fuel, so it's basically like a combustion engine. And then the reactant dynamo, you can mix fluids and get crazy stuff out of it. And then this rotational dynamo is basically turns rotary craft power into TE's power, redstone flux, baby. So these dynamos, if I hold shift, it's not going to tell me on this, is it? They all put out 80 RF a tick, so 8 MJs a tick basically. And they don't put out any more than that. So the thermal expansion guys said the same thing. You want 8 MJs a tick? Build a steam dynamo. You want 16 MJs a tick? Build 2 steam dynamos. You want 64 MJ a tick? You got to put 8 of them down. So we need big power that's constant, so we got to do the steam boiler thing. Or pump lava from the nether, or build solars or whatever. Speaking of solars, here's an Industrial Craft 2 machine. So I mentioned before, do I still have my thing in there? Yeah, I do. So this is the universal charger, and this basically just refills my jetpack. But this is the energy bridge, and I had it over here previously when I moved everything. I can't move the IC2 machine. If I try to break this in any way except with IC2's electric tool, it basically turns into a giant paperweight and I have to recraft it. So I haven't moved that yet, and this is why we hate Industrial Craft 2 now, because I can't move these machines. This thing, I can wrench it, move it all day. I can stick it wherever I want. Boom, there you go. In fact, these machines, the Ender IO machines, I'm pretty sure if you wrench these and move them, they still keep their charge. So everything, and you can wrench the energy cell, move it around. You just pop it with your wrench. It doesn't have to be a powered wrench, and you move it around and it keeps its power, keeps its settings, does whatever. Not this stupid Industrial Craft 2 stuff. If you break it with the wrong tool, you made a paperweight. So we're not gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do with that thing. I need to hook it up to my system, but I'm afraid to move it because it's gonna turn into a giant paperweight. So we still have some more machines to set up. So we have these machines here, the Magma Crucible and the Fluid Transposer is what we use to make the energy cells and tesseracts and stuff. And that's the next thing we gotta make. We gotta make a tesseract, play with that. I haven't played with the new one for all and all for one tesseract. But I think maybe we'll just pop these down right here and give them interfaces and things like that. I have to figure out, there's a way to, we need a way to get these guys to process off of one thing from AE. We got Mine Factory. So MFR has this, not the item collector. It looks like that one though. Where's that? There's an item router somewhere in here. There it is. Item router. So if you build one of these item routers and hook it up to one of these ME interfaces, you can basically tell the ME interface to put, like, 8 redstone and a tesseract frame into the item router, and then the item router, you can tell it send the redstone over to the magma crucible and then put the tesseract frame in the induction smelter. But that's a little bit more complex setup than what we have done so far, so we'll have to get that going. I know how to do it. I've done it before. We just haven't done it yet. So I think next time we will build an actual quarry. I tore down the portal over there. I tore down the one in the nether too. So there's no vanilla portals in the nether anymore. It's all just linking books, which is fine. We can take a look at that too. In fact, I got gold now. I can make interlinking books. So over here we got the nether hub, which is nothing. I might even get attacked by a zombie pigman. I don't know. So I half slabbed this up so nothing spawn. I sent a turtle in here to do some stuff. I do not like the roof of the nether in Feed the Beast. All this tainted soil. In vanilla Minecraft, it's all, netherrack at the top. This ain't netherrack. It's all this crappy soil junk. Yuck. Where's the village? We haven't spent any time in the village. Huh. Oh, it's all busy. The only problem is these guys have a poop party. Check these guys out. So this is sludge from MFR, and it spawns naturally, and you can see these guys all have 1 hit point. So basically they have a poop party. They hang out in here even though it takes damage. They don't care. And they kind of get themselves killed. He's the guy. You know what? I got birchwood now. I could probably do that. Oh, he's the broken one. He's the one that didn't change after I traded all my wheat. Yeah, but the village seems to be going okay. There's a bunch of new villagers. Check these guys out. And I could do like the cheaty, super door structure thing, but I think we'll leave this kind of natural. It's kind of cool like this. There's villagers all over the place. I forgot about the hats. Is that hats? What are you? Check you out. It's Elvis. And he'll give me a jukebox. That's awesome. Yeah, but I think we'll leave the village au naturel and let it do its thing. It's probably not a bad thing that these guys get themselves killed, because that kind of recycles the villagers for me. Then there's enough doors and crud in place. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? Come here. What do you got? Cherry wood planks. Nah. But there's enough villagers in here, and there's enough. It's pretty much zombie proof. I think these guys will do pretty good. In fact, I even got... Are you a blacksmith? You're a blacksmith, right? Oh, 9 gold for an emerald? I'm going to have to come back for this stuff. Yeah. So we got the village just hopping now. It's pretty cool. And I didn't have to build one of those cheaty door buildings. I just added some more doors in random places. In fact, I could probably put another door here or something. But let's get out of here before the night falls. Get back to our starter base. And we're ready to go. So now we got big ore processing. Time to build us a quarry and go nuts. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody who likes and subscribes. Good night.